somebody who had a professional contract with the Penguins organization, but not with the Pittsburgh Penguins themselves. Somebody who was signed to the Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins and has been playing extremely well for the Pens AHL affiliate. Avery Hayes gets a little pat on the back, gets a reward for his hard work over the last 2 seasons, signing a 2-year entry-level contract. Now, Hayes originally signed with Wilkes-Barre prior to last season after 4 seasons in the OHL. He turned heads at that Prospects Challenge 2 seasons ago. He turned heads once again in Buffalo at the Prospects Challenge this past season. And that's why when I say to keep an eye out for guys like Daniel Latch, when I say to keep an eye out for guys like Chase Piatella, that's whenever we get to see these guys before they disperse throughout their corners of the country and corners of the world, because they come into Pittsburgh, more specifically, they go to Buffalo, and they put on display what they have with guys that you might see them playing with in the future within this organization. That's where Hayes got his start, and he was extremely, extremely impressive playing in both of those tournaments the past 2 years. Now, last year, he bounced between the ECHL and the AHL. This year, he has found a more defined role with the American Hockey League affiliate. Nick Hart, who is the Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins play-by-play broadcaster, put on Twitter yesterday following this news, quote, "Hayes has a tireless motor and fits anywhere in your lineup. First line wing, fourth line energy, power play, penalty kill. He checks every box." And that's exactly what you're asking from a guy who was undrafted and trying to earn everything that he gets. And that's exactly what Avery Hayes has been able to do last season and especially into this season. If you look at what he's done this year, he has become a big part of the Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins forward core. Right now, he's playing with Rutger McGroarty and Vasily Ponomarov on the Penguins' second line, has 17 goals and 35 points in 44 games played this season. And I think that just goes to show that you need players that are going to be able to emerge out of nowhere. The Penguins are in a position right now where, yes, they might, as we talked about yesterday on the full episode of The Tip of the Iceberg, they might be kind of shifting gears a little bit, trying to get back into that win now mode after a year down in 2024-25. But for the long-term health of this organization, they're going to need some of these guys that are undrafted to come out of nowhere and to make big impacts. They're going to need some of these guys that aren't considered top prospects, not your Rutger McGroartys, not your Ville Koivunen, who everybody and their mother is aware of and excited for. You need some of these other guys, these unknowns, these Avery Hayeses, to kind of make their way throughout the minors, build and develop, and potentially become a key piece in the future for the Penguins' bottom six. Avery Hayes is a guy that, as of right now, fits that mold. He obviously needs to keep developing, but the big thing for him is he needs to continue to build that chemistry with that group that's down there. We heard from Jason Spezza yesterday on the Sportsnet Pittsburgh broadcast, continuing to say, we want these guys to grow together. How important is it that you can build those relationships with your young prospects so they all move up together and they start to win together at that next level? That's how the Penguins view their prospect pipeline right now. And if Avery Hayes can just wind his way in with the likes of Rutger McGroarty, with the likes of Ville Koivunen, with the likes of Tristan Brose, with the likes of Vasily Ponomarev, and he's able to build chemistry with those guys, it's going to make jumping from the AHL to the NHL a little bit easier. I'm not going to say it's easy. It never is easy. It is a massive jump to make from AHL to NHL, and you have to be on your P's and Q's 24/7 when you do make that jump. But it gets a little bit easier when you've already played so many minutes. You've already, who knows, maybe gone on to win playoff rounds with the guys you're surrounded with the guys that you're on the ice with. And that is a huge, huge factor in what the Pittsburgh Penguins are trying to do with this next era of Penguins hockey, with this next generation of Pittsburgh Penguins. They want them to learn, obviously, from guys like Crosby, from guys like Malkin, from guys like Letang, from guys like Brian Rust. But they want them to all come up in a wave. You don't want to bring them up one at a time and potentially have to send them back down. You want them to all be ready, and you want it to be a massive youth movement, the likes of which we saw back in 2009, the likes of which we saw in 2016 with your Brian Rusts back in the day, with your Connor Sherrys back in the day, with your Carter Rowneys back in the day, Tom Kuhnockles. All these guys were AHL guys that had played together for a year or maybe even more, and they come up to the NHL level and they create magic. That's what the Penguins want out of their prospects, and that is what Avery Hayes has started to build for himself at the American Hockey League level. The performance that he's had this year, I believe he's ranked in the top 5 in goals scored for Wilkes-Barre, and he's, as I mentioned before, implanted himself amongst the top 6 with a lot of the Penguins' top forward prospects. So shout out to Avery Hayes, getting a pat on the back, getting rewarded for a tremendous 2-year stint with the Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins and the Penguins organization as a whole to this point in his career. But that's going to do it for this episode of The Tip of the Ice-Burgh. Thank you guys so much for tuning into this one. Remember, if you like this video, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe to us on YouTube at Tip of the Ice-Burgh, or you can catch us anywhere you get your podcasts from. We'll see you guys next time.